Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praise to Most High Yahweh, acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. This evening, we're going to get some clarification on why Columbus and the Europeans call the inhabitants here in the Americas Indians. See, we know now that this land was called India Superior. And the land has been called many things and has had many names. And I just find it kind of amazing because as I was doing my studies, there were certain topics that were coming up. And Brother 432 The Drop put out a short video this evening. And many of the topics that were running through my head, he expressed on his video. I'll probably leave a link to the video in the description box. But pretty much all the things that were the most I was putting in my head, he brought out in his video. So I wanted to make sure I talked about that because, like I said, that's just the spirit working. He's talking about the land here in the Americas and it being the India, that being the land of the Hindus, land of the dragons, and the Americas actually being the Far East that you hear about. And it would make sense because they talk about the lands of America being in the West, and everything is pretty much the opposite of what they say. So if they say these are the Western lands, it would make sense that they would actually be the Far East that is commonly, referred to. Because these lands here in the Americas are pristine. Talking about all the things that they are finding, all the artifacts that they are finding to show you that this is the old world. And they've all, they said it's the new world. It's the opposite, so it would be the old world. Everything is pretty much the opposite of what the Gentiles are saying. When it talks about how they're going to come saying that their fathers have inherited lies, that they should give you your key, that everything that they say is going to be the opposite of the truth. When it talks about in John how they're going to speak lies because that's what that's what's in them, and they're going to do the will of their father. That's exactly what they're doing. Now I was going to kind of come up here with some information that just explains why they called the people here, the inhabitants of the Americas here, Indians. You're trying to say they didn't know the difference? They couldn't tell that these people here did not look like the Indians that are over there today. See, our people were considered what you would call the Indians, the Hindus. We were the people that were, that had this information, had these understandings. Because, like it talked about with Enoch, the Most High downloaded all this information to Enoch, and he handed this information down to his posterity, that Enoch had knowledge of the stars. Abraham had knowledge of the stars. Our people had this knowledge because it was handed down from generation to generation. So when you start to figure these things out, like you don't know that the Israelites, you don't have to always look at the Israelites and be able to look at them and say, oh, okay, this is an Israelite. You're going to know it's an Israelite by the knowledge and understanding that they had. It wasn't always just by looking at people, because remember, Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. talks about how we look like the Hamites. But see, what's going to differentiate us from other nations is not necessarily always how we look, but it's going to be about the information and understanding that we have been blessed with. That is what separates us from the rest. The knowledge and understanding that the Most High has downloaded to us is what separates us from others. The Spirit working with us is what separates us from the others. So you're going to see right now an example of why they called the inhabitants of these lands here Indians, because they had the knowledge and understanding that proved that they were of the Israelite or the chosen seed stock. We're going to take a look this evening at Isis Unveiled, a Master Key. Okay? Mysteries of Ancient and Modern Science and Theology. This is volume 1, the science edition. There's 2 volumes. Thank the Most High that He blessed us with the opportunity to get these books, because the Catholic Church and the Christian Church went on a burning spree and burned the vast majority of these books. This is a first edition right here from 1877. And there are very few sets of these left, because the Catholic Church and the Christian Church, well, first it was the Catholic Church that went out and burned all these books, and the Christians came into power and they just continued those policies because they cannot explain this information away, like always. And some things never change. Now you got DeSantis doing the same things, not necessarily burning books, but banning books. So you can just tell, they're trying to hide information. That's been their MO. Modus operandi is to hide information. Just telling you that it's not yours is not working anymore. We were too close. We weren't far enough removed earlier, when they first came into power. So that's why they had to burn books and everything else, because we still knew who we were. We still knew about our knowledge and understanding. Now, because we're so far removed from, us actually knowing who we are and having a good foundation, that they've been forever just been able to tell us that, oh, that's not your book. That's not your information. And we would just believe them because we believe that the Gentiles, they wouldn't lie to us. They were going to tell us the truth. But now that our eyes are open, we realize that everything that they've been telling us has been nothing but lies. So, like I said, there's very few sets, and we have been blessed by the Most High to have one. And we're just going to read one page, and you're going to be able to see how the Hindus, or the so-called Indians, showed their knowledge before by helping the Romans with a problem that they had. And only a certain group of people are going to have this understanding. So they knew that when they came over here, when they were allowed to come over here to the New World, to them, and they saw the knowledge and understanding that people had over here, they realized that these people are connected with the Hindus. These people are connected, right, with the so-called Indians. That's why they called them Indians. They knew they were in India Superior. They knew they had made it to the Far East. They had not been allowed to come over here. Most High kept them separated until we fell off. Then He allowed them to come over here, and the Most High used them as His whooping stick for His people. And that was only going to be for a certain amount of time. So here we go. Let's take a look. You're going to see right now that you're going to be able to see how Israelites helped them helped the Romans with an issue. Okay. And then they're going to come over here and see that the same knowledge and understanding that the Hindus had over there with them, the so-called Indians, that same information was present over here. which just showed them that these were the same people. They were from the same group because they had the same knowledge and understanding. The knowledge and understanding the rest of the world did not have, because they did not understand information about the stars and the planets and all that. Okay? So let's check this out real quick. And one of the earliest Nivids, Rishi Kutsa, a Hindu sage of the remotest antiquity, explains the allegory of the first laws given to the celestial bodies for doing what she ought not to do. Anait, okay, representing the earth in the legend, is sentenced to turn round the sun. The satras, or sacrificial sessions, prove undoubtedly that so early as in the 18th or 20th century BC, the Hindus had made considerable progress in astronomical science. The satras lasted 1 year and were nothing but an imitation of the sun's yearly course. They were divided, says Hwag, into two distinct parts, consisting of 6 months and 30 days each. In the midst of both was the Vishuvan, or equator or central day, cutting the whole satras into two halves. Okay, this scholar, although he ascribes the composition of the bulk of the Brahmas to the period of 1400 to 1200 BC, is of the opinion that the oldest of the hymns may be placed at the very commencement of Vedic literature, between the years of 2400 to 2000 BC. He finds no reason for considering the Vedas less ancient than the sacred books of the Chinese. As the Shu King, or Book of History, and the sacrificial songs of the Shi King, or Book of Odes, have been proved to have an antiquity as early as 2200 BC. Our philologists may yet be compelled before long to acknowledge that in astronomical knowledge, the antediluvian Hindus were their masters. Okay? So like I said, these other nations have put these titles on all these different people. And right now, you got other people being called Hindus. That doesn't mean that these were the same people that were here during the antediluvian era. And see that, and that's the whole thing, that people have been moved, people have been given different names, proverbs, things like that. They've been called different things, but ultimately it's been the Gentiles that have been naming everyone. It's been the Gentiles who have been saying, okay, well, you're the Indians, the East Indians, you're you're the British, you're the Irish, you're the South Americans, you're from Greenland, you're the Australians, and it's like they've been going around giving everyone their names. And what did it say? Our fathers have inherited lies, so therefore all these people have getting all these titles. Trust me, if you think the Caesares, lovers and the people with all these religions and are telling you the truth about any of this information, I said you're going to be surprised just like everyone else. Okay, so right here, that in astronomical knowledge, the antediluvian Hindus were their masters. So like I said, who were the Hindus before the flood? Who were the people that were given knowledge and understanding of the stars before the flood? It would be Enoch, and it would be his posterity. It would be the people that were in his bloodline that would have this knowledge and understanding. You see that? So it's going to be people that are going to eventually become the Israelites who are going to have this knowledge and understanding. It's going to be the people that follow that line. Those are the ones that were given this knowledge before the flood. And remember that Enoch was taken up into the sky, and he was shown all the things that were, that happened in space, or with the planets and their movements and everything else. All that information was given to Enoch, and he passed it down to his children. So that's how who were the ones that were, this knowledge was given to, were the ones who showed you about the planets, who gave you the information, understanding about the planets, who gave you the information about the astronomical knowledge. That's how you could tell who was of the chosen bloodline or the chosen seed. It's not by looking at someone And then you can just tell by looking at someone. That's why I'm saying all black people are Judah. All people in Mexico are Issachar, right? All people, that live in this area are this, and all people who live here are that. That's not how you tell. How you're going to be able to tell who people are is by the knowledge and understanding that's going to be given to them. That's how it was told. That's how it was shown before, and that's how it'll be shown now. You're going to be able to tell the ones that the Most High is dealing with. He's dealing with his people. So he's going to be given knowledge and understanding to his people. He did it before, and he's doing it again now. The separation that is happening is not happening by skin color. The separation that's happening now is working through knowledge and understanding. The Spirit is coming and calling her children, and her children are coming and drinking that new wine, getting that information once again, getting understanding once again. That's how you tell who are of the chosen seed, by the ones that are getting this knowledge, understanding here at the end. Okay? So when Columbus knew that when he got here, he knew he was going to, be running into the Israelites. That's why he brought Hebrew interpreters. He knew he was coming to, India Superior, just like Brother 472 The Drop said. Of all the old maps, it tells you all these different names and titles of these lands. It talks about it being Asia Superior. We know it's the Far East. We know it's the land of the dragons. So let's continue. At all events, there are facts which prove that certain astronomical calculations were as correct with the Chaldeans in the days of Julius Caesar as they are now. See, these people they had more knowledge and understanding. They had the same knowledge and understanding about the stars back then during the time of Julius Caesar, the Chaldeans did, as they do now. So there's nothing new under the sun. And we'll get into that as well. There's nothing new under the sun. The information that they have now, we already had back then. See, the Gentiles barely got exposed to this information, and it took them forever to confirm it. But once they confirmed it, then they made it sound like it was some new discovery. There have been no new discoveries because all this information was already known to us. So it's like, oh, we're going to check your math. So hold on, you just got here. You got here at the end of the period. You haven't even been here to, take the notes. But you're going to come in here and tell us that I'm going to check your math at the, you come into the class the last 2 minutes, but you're going to come and check the math of the people that have been here the whole time. See, that's how this all works out. They just show up at the end of the period, didn't take any notes, haven't taken the prerequisite courses, don't know what the hell they're talking about, but they're going to come in and check our work. We've been, at all the prerequisite courses. We done aced everything. We're here at this last course. It's the end of the year. We got A's and everything. But this dude just shows up here at the end and says, I'm going to check your math. That's exactly what it's like with these Gentiles who are coming in at the end of the party thinking that they're discovering something. So you're just barely being exposed to things that we've already known because the Father had already given it to us. Okay, so again, at all events, there are facts which prove that certain astronomical calculations were as correct with the Chaldeans in the days of Julius Caesar as they are now. See, this is why they burned these books, because they didn't want people to realize that these things that they said that they were barely learning and barely discovering were things that were already known to the chosen seed thousands of years ago. It's kind of hard to act like you really accomplished something when there's proof that that this stuff is old news. That these people are, there's a chosen seed that has had this information forever. It says, when the calendar was reformed by the conqueror, the civil year was found to correspond so little with the seasons that summer had merged into the autumn months and the autumn months into full winter. Okay, so their calendar was all jacked up, all messed up. And this is going to be a way that they proved that the people that were here in the new world for them were actually part of the chosen seed. It was Sosigenes, the Chaldean astronomer, who restored order into the confusion by putting back the 25th of March 90 days, thus making it correspond with the vernal equinox. And it was Sosigenes, again, who fixed the lengths of the months as they now remain. Nothing new under the sun. This guy fixed the months, the days of the months. He got it all situated for them. Okay? This Chaldean astronomer. If this Chaldean astronomer has knowledge and understanding of the stars, we know what bloodline he comes from. But check this part out. In America, it was found by the Montezuman army that the calendar of the Aztecs gave an equal number of days and weeks to each month. The extreme accuracy of their astronomical calculations was so great that no error has been discovered in their reckoning by subsequent verifications. Esau can't even, debunk this information, this understanding that the Aztecs had. While the Europeans who landed in Mexico in 1519 were, by the Julian calendar, nearly 11 days in advance of the exact time. Okay? So that's how they knew also that the people here were, part of the chosen seed, because they had knowledge, okay, of the astronomical information. That's why they called them Indians, because they knew that they were part of this group of Hindus or East Indians, as they wanted to call them, or whatever else today. They knew that, they had understanding of the calendar. They had great understanding of the astronomical, happenings. So therefore, they had to be related, because there's only one group of people that have this knowledge and understanding. And that shows you why they called them Indians. Not because they looked like Indians, but because they had the same knowledge and understanding as the Hindus or the Indians that had been over there in their part of the world. So they didn't call them Indians because they looked like the East Indians that you see today. They called them that because they knew that they were in India Superior and that they had the knowledge and understanding which confirmed which bloodline they came from and confirmed who they were, because no other group of people has that knowledge and understanding. That's why when you look at Psalms 147, 19 and 20, it's not just talking about the Bible. Okay, that's what you got to get out of your mind, is thinking that, when it's talking about scriptures or information or whatever else, they're just talking about the Bible. The Most High downloaded mathematics, science, astronomy, astrology. He downloaded all that information to our people. So let's take a look at that really fast. Psalms 147. Go there real quick. Psalms 147, 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. So his word could be many things, not just the Bible. It could be information about, his words created the heavens. So that could be something that he has shown his people. The math, the science, the astronomy, the astrology, the movement of the planets, their significance, all that he showed to his people. So again, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. So the other nations, you guys were not given knowledge of, the astrological, or astronomical knowledge. That was given to the Israelites. So the fact that they had that understanding when they came over here to the Americas, or the New World to them, that just proved who they were. That's why they named them Indians. They knew they were not in India, East India. They knew they had found a new world for them because they were allowed to come over here, and they were well aware of that. Okay? So I just wanted to share that with you. Show you how the Most High differentiates and separates his people by giving us knowledge and understanding that's far above all others. All praise is the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.